everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're here for the very first time, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. I'm Jane and my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, we have no debt, we paid off the mortgage, and we live a thrifty, frugal and money-saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Wednesday we open our home and we invite you in for a mid-week money chat. We're very much on the theme of budgeting this month of April, of sticking to those budgets as well. And today is a very quick video of 5 simple, easy rules that we set ourselves that help us stick to that thrifty, frugal and money-saving budget. So many ways to budget, aren't there? I know lots of people like to use app-based budgeting or online budgeting. I'm an old-fashioned girl. We're an old-fashioned couple. But simple rule for us that we stick to every single month, and it makes it easy for us, is we write our budget down every single month. We know some of our budget doesn't change month to month, but we still write it down. We still take the time to actually physically go through that together, to look at it together every single month and talk about what money needs moving to where. So I'll have the budget book open, Mike will have the app open on his phone, save me getting it out on a laptop, and then we move the money at the beginning of the month to the sinking funds, to the savings, into the current account, the checking account, the money that we need for that month. But every single month. And it's a rule that we have stuck by for years. And I don't think that we personally would stick to this budget if it was just ethereal, it was just out there. And I know some people do, and it works for them. They'll say, well, I know how much my bills are, and I just kind of live off what's left. We don't do it that way. But an important thing for us to share with you, that a rule that helps us to stick to our budget every single month, is we write it down. The next thing we do is we track every penny we spend. Now I know we can just leave those receipts on the internet and we can leave them, on Amazon, which we could do, and just write them in our budget book. But we like a physical receipt as well. So we'll print that out just the same way as every time I go to the supermarket. Do you want a receipt? Yes, please. Every single time. And I then bring them back. I write them down in my budget book. Even if we just pop to the shop and buy a loaf of bread, I want the receipt and we write it down. And it's something else that we have done for years. And it means, for example, like this month, I'll be honest with you, we've had so many things go wrong this month that we've had to draw money from our savings to pay for them. Our lawnmower broke, we had to buy parts for the lawnmower, we had to get a man out to help us to diagnose what was wrong with the lawnmower, we had to pay someone to come and cut the grass because we had no lawnmower, my sewing machine went wrong, my sewing machine that I use to teach people to sew, that went wrong, everything. My cooker went wrong, my wood burner went wrong, so much went wrong. So what we do is we track all that in exactly the same way. So in my budget book, and I use my Clever Fox budget book, I've got a page for tracking money in and money out of our sinking funds and savings. So whatever we spend, we write that down. We don't write down things like if we take cash out to go out for the day. Say, for example, with our discretionary spending, we took 50 euros of our personal discretionary spending, we went out for the day. We might need that for parking, we might need that to buy coffee or something like that. Rare occasion it happens, but it does happen rarely, it does sometimes. We would write in our budget book, 50 euros, Jane, discretionary spending, or 50 euros, Mike, discretionary spending. So we do that. But whatever we do, we write it in our budget book. If we take something from the sinking fund and we spend it, like home repairs, we've got a home repairs sinking fund. So we took money to repair our cooker, money to repair our wood burning stove. We took that and we tracked that in our sinking funds in our budget book. So that's a very simple rule that we live by. Once we got into the habit with it, it wasn't at all difficult. So that's another thing. We write it down. So we track our spending, and not only track it, we write it down. The next very simple rule that we stick by, and it really helps us keep on top of our budget, is we check our bank account, we check our online bank account at least twice a week, if not more. And we do that because we pay for everything out of our one current account. That's where the money goes out. So that means if we've spent something that comes from our long-term savings, we have to move that in. If we've spent something from our sinking funds, we have to move that in. And we tend to do that and check our online banking and move the money to the right account every time that we buy something from the sinking funds or the long-term savings. And we can have 1 or 2 months where that doesn't happen. We can have a month like this one. That expression, when Murphy's law, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. With this month, everything went wrong. But it does mean by checking our bank account at least twice a week, we can go, we need to move the money. Okay, we bought a new battery for the lawnmower, didn't we? So that money needs to come out of the sinking funds at the gardening budget, so we need to move that over. But by checking our bank account at least twice a week, whether we have bought anything or not, we're just checking the direct debits that have gone out. We're just checking the auto pay that's gone out. We're checking, for example, when we have a medical appointment and we pay for that, we get the money back either from our social security provider, which is Amelie, or from our insurance company, which is Generali. So we like to check that the money's come back to us. So that's a really good thing as well. So we check our bank account at least twice a week, if not more, if we've spent any money. Something that works really well for us and really keeps our budget front and centre in our minds, so we stick to this budget, are regular budget challenges. So we'll have months where we have no spend months. We have months where we have pantry challenge months. We've got a whole challenge this year of that we are not spending anything major on our house, on our property. So we're really moving as much money as we can into our long-term savings. So we've sort of built up that nest egg that's there for the bigger projects that are going to come in the future. We're working this year on scaling down our sinking funds, because last year we had a really big sinking fund because we had a big project to do on our house and we had that 1 year savings to make. So having those regular savings. So this month with our pantry challenge, this month I'm going to be using my supermarket cashback, which means my store loyalty cards are kind of sat there with like little pots of money each on them. So I'm going to make sure that I do a whole week's shopping just from those cashbacks on my apps that I can take into the supermarkets and spend literally like cash. So we set our challenge this year that we're going to have 6 no spend months. It's working quite well at the moment, with the exception of Murphy coming knocking on the door, everything going wrong, and having to take the money that we'd saved out of savings. We're only human. That's life. Life happens, doesn't it? It just happens. But having regular budget challenges. My favourites are the no spend months, the pantry challenge months. I try and have 2 to 3 pantry challenge months. And I also like to have at least a week, a month, where I don't do any shopping at all at the supermarket. So there we go. Budget challenges are really good for us because they really help us focus on the savings part of our budget. Number 5, and this one really helps us to stick to our budget, is we keep a really good calendar, a really good diary of everything that's coming up. Remember what your mum used to do at the beginning of the year? She'd get the old calendar, and on there she'd put all the term dates for the school, all the birthdays, when you were off work, all of those things. Well, we keep a really good calendar so things don't just come up. We know when they're coming up. Beginning of the year, we put into the calendar when the car goes for its test for its CT every 2 years. We know when we've got regular medical appointments coming up and we have to put some money aside for that. We know when we're going to be having haircuts. I know when I'm going to have my eyebrows done. So 1 month I book for the next month. When we have our haircut, we book for the next 3 months. So we know these things are coming up and we can plan them financially and have them in our budget. I also check all of the online sales at least a week before they come up. So before I write my shopping list, I've got that diaried in that week. So the next week, for example, I might do all my shopping in Leclerc, but the week after that, I might do all my shopping in Intermarché or all my shopping in Super U. It depends on who's got the offers and where. But getting it on the diary, well, ours is a wall calendar, getting it up there means I know where the money's going to go on those dates. So it's a really good piece of advice that I would share with you is making sure that you know all of your insurance renewal dates, that you know all of the term dates for your children, especially if it has an impact on childcare costs, that you know when all of those birthdays are. If you've been asked to save the date for a wedding next year, that you're reminding yourselves on a frequent basis of when it's going to happen. I use a physical calendar as well, but I also like to put reminders in my phone a month before, 3 weeks before, a week before, so I absolutely don't forget that I need to spend this money on this way. So we keep a really good organised calendar of all those scheduled events that are going to come up, that are going to cost us money, and we also write on them where that money is going to come from. Is it coming from the sinking fund? Is it coming from savings? Or do we have to just factor that into the budget in that month? One today, and I'm sure that you'd agree with me that they are pretty easy rules that we follow that work for us. I'm going to hand this over to you. I know so many of you out there are living on a budget, that you're really organised with your money, that you're really organised in a very thrifty, frugal and money saving ways. Share with us. We have a fantastic sharing community. How you do that and how you stick to it. Because I know in the past when we weren't good at budgeting, we budgeted, it was sticking to the budget that was difficult. But finding ways that works for us really helps us to stick to our budget. Thank you everybody for watching. If you've enjoyed the video today, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. We know that half of you watching are not subscribers, and it costs you nothing to be a subscriber, so go on, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all again, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.